Hello, Canada. Welcome back to another edition of the Canadian Citizen Journal. I'm your host, alias Tagai. We have got lots to go over today. As per usual, we're going to touch on the updates with Natasha from Montreal. Sounds like she had literally just got out of the hospital. She was in all night, suffering from injuries, accosted by, of course, the Radical Left Policing Association that we have. We're also going to get back onto this whole Buttongate scandal and what's going on. I'm going to go through a list of the charges that should be applied right now, as well as Carney's lack of, literally, he right from his lips, he just reassigned them. He didn't even fire them. And how all of these parties were told a long time ago through CSIS that these outside forces, Iran, Russia, especially China, were going to try and link the conservatives to Trump. And obviously, instead of taking it as a threat warning to Canadian elections, the Liberals used it as a learning tool. Hey, this is what we should do. Again, just realigning that the Liberals are they're the arm of China. It's disgusting what's become of Canada. And then we're going to dabble on to a few more things that we hopefully we have time for. I'm going to try and keep these videos a little bit shorter. I do apologize, guys, but I just really like to try and get the whole story out there, and it's hard to fit all of the information in like a 20-minute or a 30-minute vid. So, but I'm going to try my best here. Let's just get started on the preamp of what happened before, leading up to the arrest, and then an update on where she is now. Let's get started. This is just some of the stuff that the independents have to put up with. And like I've said, Dacey himself has been assaulted, masked man. Instead of arresting the man right there at the scene, they didn't do that. They let him go. Dacey had to go out on his own and file charges. And now the police are like, well, we can't find the guy. We don't know who he is because, he had a mask on. This is how, like, we are falling so fast as a nation. Anyways, back to Natasha. This is what they do. They try to block, they get in their face, and then they'll push or they'll try and wrap themselves around to block their own cameraman from seeing what's going on, and they'll literally physically assault them, either jab them or knee them or try to trip them, smack their phones out of their hands. Again, police, nothing. They don't do anything. At least this guy's not wearing a mask. So like, share, and subscribe, and get this bozo's face out there, because these people need to be exposed. These are not pro-Palestine. I know from experience. This is pro-Hamas. And there are so many students that are just fed this brainwashing, that are joining these protests thinking that they're all about saving lives, when in fact, they're helping push the agenda to hurt. They're pushing genocide. Scary times. Let's keep going. This is just before the arrest. Now, who's pushing who? Who's got their hands on who? Now, right there in the footage alone, you can see it's the police. See the police? The police are pushing them back. You see it? Clear as day. Look at this cop, walks right up. She's backing up. He's forcing her to back. She's no violence at all. None at all. And then all of a sudden they say, oh, no, they're charging her because she resisted arrest and she was being physical. Lies, people. All lies. And this is what the cops, especially these cops, are doing. These aren't real police officers as far as I'm concerned. This is an abomination of our policing system in Canada. And this is what it's become. It's become, like I said, the leftist arm of the Liberal government. Fear, hate, and division. This was the actual arrest. We're going to kind of go over this and look and watch what they do to her. Watch the physical harm that they cause to this lady. This is sad. This is a mom. Right there. Watch what they do to her arm. Now he grabs her wrist, and like I said before, this is a judo, like a jiu-jitsu move. This is tactical. This is actually like illegal in fight rings, because you can snap somebody's wrist like so fast. You're incredibly weak when somebody folds your wrist over, either that harsh, especially going harsh forward. It's very easy to actually pop that wrist out of joint, or pulling it backwards. It's easier going forwards, but still, the pain, unnecessary. Listen to these fascists cheer. Wow. Media doesn't want any, they're trying to hide these protests from the news. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and get this out. People need to see this. Now watch her hit these stairs, the sharp edges of these granite stairs. Oh. Look at that wrist. You see what he did to that wrist? Oh, man. Unbelievably, this is sad. This is assault. This is assault by the police. Unjustified. Unjustified arrest, unjustified assault. This is a disgrace. And I'm going to show you what it reminds me of here in a few more clips. This is right after the arrest. Now, like I said, she was in the hospital right after this all night, and like rumor is, I haven't got any concrete evidence, but it sounds like she just got released. And from the sounds of it, suffered some major injuries. But again, I don't want to say exactly what happened until I know the facts. I'm hoping that she ends up posting something, and I'll put it on my next episode. I'll get the word out as soon as I can. This is absolutely ridiculous. Now, Rebel News, of course, Alexia, she's part of the Rebel, and if you don't know who they are, I suggest you definitely follow them. These are really good reporters. She just gives kind of a quick update here. Let's just kind of hear what she has to say.
Went together, and our goal was like, take our distance, document the speech that was given, and also the chants that they were doing. And I have multiple videos showing that we are just walking on the sidewalk. And I took the time to say, you see, I'm going to film us to see that we are not provoking, that we are walking. And at one point, they recognized us because they were marching towards the Basilica, because I knew they were going to do a prayer. And so they started chanting, fascist is here, Zionist is here. So, and some people feel emboldened to come towards us and started to assault, harass, intimidate us with all sort of, I don't know, like they had the signs board and flyers and everything, and they were putting that in our face, and in the same time that pushing us and being physical with us. But we still kept our distance from them. And at one point, I saw Iyad Abu Ahmed. As I explained, yes. Iyad Abu Ahmed, I already reported on him. He is affiliated with one of the mosques in Montreal, MAC. He is also the one who did apply for the tax exemption, he got it from the city. He is the one who is mostly there during those protests during the Sunday. And so I remembered him saying that on October 7, 2023. It was a victory. And so I wanted to challenge him on his words. And I approach him. I say, first of all, do you agree with this kind of behavior? Talking about the
Now,
people.
I can't even show you those clips. I have some of them. YouTube scrubbed a lot of them off. They were live streaming what they were doing when they went on October 7th, when they actually went in, and like what they did to women and children. I'll say this much: it entailed shovels, ovens, quads with ropes. It was absolutely disgraceful. These are the supporters. This is what these people support. It's I just can't express enough how we need to expose these people for what they are. And the media they're pertaining to all this on what's happening now. There are people in Palestine who were marching the streets. They want Israel to finish what they've started. Palestinians, they want the removal of Hamas. They're done with it. And then what did Hamas do? They started using all the footage, and they started headhunting all of these individuals, and they have been disappearing. Again, nothing in the mainstream about this. Nothing. Then they start using them as hostages, which happened in this last hospital that just got hit. They were using this as a place to store weapons, to torture people, and to eliminate these people that were protesting against Hamas, Palestinians that are protesting against Hamas, Palestinians like the families and friends that I had that when they went back never were seen again. It's disgusting.
Were at the protest, because if it's the leader, you should tell your people to calm down and to stop harassing journalists. And afterward, I was saying, like, why are you chanting anti-Semitic slogan? Why are you doing that? And I said, why did you say that October 7th was a victory? And he was yelling at me. He was yelling so much that I was spitting in my face. And at that moment, the police didn't tell him to stop doing that. They didn't tell the people to stop assaulting us and to touch us and to intimidate us. They actually grabbed my arm and they pushed me on the back. And I keep saying, do not touch me. You don't have the right to touch me. Do not touch me. And he kept putting his hand on my arm to push me back. And that same police who actually say, I know for who you work for Rebel. And he keep like pushing me around. And I say, can you stop touching me? And at one point, me and Natasha, that we actually comply and we went on the sidewalk. We switch police officer. So the police officer that was physical with me and really aggressive with me, who actually mentioned my outlet as seems like really malicious, really targeting my outlet, started to engage with Natasha.
Which I showed you that video. That's kind of why I showed it to you. I thought it was imperative that you see that.
Starting to walk towards her. And she had like to step down. She had her phone on her hand trying to film like what was happening around. And we can see clearly that more was pushing towards her, more like she had like to step to back up. And at one point, he put his hand on the side of her body around her hips. And so she grabbed and she said, do not touch me. And at this moment, he grabbed his arm, twisted it, and make her under arrest for assault. This is what happened.
And it's all documented, and I can't wait to see the charges. And this police officer should be fired, and not just fired, charged and jailed. That is assault. Period. I urge you to watch this entire episode. She breaks everything right down. Again, Rebel News, these people are great. We need to support me, support them. And I know American viewers, you guys are probably doing a lot better financially than we are in Canada. Canada's broke. We're broken. But if you got 2 cents to rub together, please, like, just e-transfer to me. You can e-transfer to them. They're actually setting up a fund. And actually, you know what? Skip me here. Natasha's going to need money in order to fight this case, because she's fighting the government. She's fighting your tax dollars that protect these people. The fund and everything is all linked to this page on Rebel. I urge you, please, if you have any spare money, donate to her. She's obviously not going to be able to work. She's injured. I'm not sure of all the damages. Like I said, I will let you know the second I find out. But we need to we need to support these people. She's on the streets. She's doing the job that mainstream won't do. What your taxpayers are paying these journalists to do that they refuse to do. We need to get the word out. If you can support them, please, please support them. I will keep you informed the second I get any updates. Like I said, I heard she just got out of the hospital. We'll find out more on that, and I'm hoping that she posts something. I'm quite curious on what all happened. But looking at the abuse that they did to her, she's gonna be broken up pretty good. She's definitely gonna be injured. That wrist and arm, let alone the ribs when they threw her on those granite stairs, painful, beyond painful. Now moving on. This is just some of this is I ran across this clip and there's lots of them like this. Check this out. This is welcome to Canada. Welcome to your post-national state.
This is Canada. This is a Tim Hortons.
I'll rewind it so you can see the subtitles here.
This is Canada. This is a Tim Hortons.
You see them in the background? Ready? Do you want this in Canada, women? Do you? My wife and daughters don't. None of my female friends, wives of all my friends, none of their daughters want this in Canada. This is what they're bringing in. This is what the news isn't showing you. This is unvetted mass migration. And the worst part is that I have good Muslim friends. This portrays them all in a bad light. This is what causes the growth of hate and certain diasporas getting picked on wrongly. This is not how true Muslims act or behave. This is an extremist arm, just like we had the KKK, just like I say this in previous episodes, I say this lots. Every single religion, culture, society has these people in it. Do not lump them all together. We can't do that. We have to stay Canadian. These are bad people. It's not the Muslims. It's not. These are bad people. And the worst thing is there's a lot of so-called Catholics, so-called Jews, so-called Protestants, and all the rest of them that are marching with these people that have no idea what they're promoting. Look at these people.
Free Canada. Free Canada.
This is Canada. This is a Tim Hortons in our nation's capital. Scarlett Grace writes. Thank you so much for putting that out there, Scarlett. And like I said, I just discovered her as well. She's got some great posts. X is definitely the channel for freedom of rights, freedom of speech, freedom of information. And this is what Carney wants to shut down. He wants to censor information and truth from getting out to you, to Canada. And we need to see this in order to fix it. Now, moving on. I'm going to show you a little wee bit of this. This is China. Expect this in Canada. Now, this is graphic. So if there's any kids, if you have kids watching, you may want to watch this first and then judge for yourself on whether or not your kids are the appropriate age to see it. I'm not going to play the whole thing. This is the truth. This is what's going on in China. Expect this if the Liberals ascertain power for years to come, which is their goal, using the propaganda media with your tax dollars. Expect this. Now, I'll read you the first bit of subtitles. An innocent woman was imprisoned and brutally tortured by her own government.
This is Ms. Gao Rongrong, an accountant at an art college in Shenyang, China. The year is 1999. Gao's face is about to be known around the world.
Except in Canada.
When the Chinese Communist Party launched its brutal crackdown on Falun Gong in 1999...
Now, if you don't know who the Falun Gong are, they're an incredibly peaceful movement that have been targeted, kind of like the Uyghurs and a lot of other peaceful religions and sects, because they don't follow and tote the party line. So think of you guys, think of Canadians. This is who they target. You will follow the socialist system, or this will happen to you. And these people are used for they take body parts out of them, and a lot of rich Canadians actually go over there and get these body parts after, Anyways, watch.
Gao was fired from her job and later imprisoned for refusing to give up her beliefs. On May 7th, 2004, Gao was tortured with electric batons for 7 hours straight at the Longshan forced labor camp in her hometown of Shenyang. The torture seared the skin off her face, head and neck, and her once radiant face was left scarred with blisters.
Now, I'm not saying this is happening in Canada now, but at the rate of decline that we're going through, expect this. Expect this. Look what they did to the Freedom Convoy. There's still a person who got ran over by a horse that laid there. Everybody's still trying to find out what happened to him, who he was, because he looked like he was not alive anymore. And from what I've seen, it shows that he actually had his larynx and neck crushed by a horse. Nothing in the mainstream, no follow-up, nothing from the police. No family members have spoke up. What happened to him? Expect this. There are people out there. This is how fascism started, and like I explained in the last episode, which I'm being heavily censored on, and I'm getting like major warnings from different social media, especially YouTube and others, about it. We have to get the truth out. We have to. That's why I need you to like, share, and subscribe. And there's a lot of other people that aren't. They're all they care about is their numbers. And I agree. I need to hit a certain number before I can ever even collect a penny off this. The number is just huge. I don't expect to make it that way. I do what I do. That's why I started this channel. So we're gonna move on. This is the Buttongate scandal. I'm gonna read off to you the violations. This is from David Jacobs. This keeps getting worse. These are the violations of Section 92, 320, and 482 of the Canada Elections Act, carrying penalties of up to $5,000 and 5 years in prison. Whoever ordered this and everyone involved is in serious trouble. They should seek independent legal counsel immediately. Here are the violations. Section 92. It is illegal to falsely claim to be a candidate, a representative of a candidate, or a member of a political party with the intent to mislead voters. Section 320. All election advertising, including signs and digital content, must include an authorized tagline identifying who paid for or authorized it. Example, authorized by the official agent of Canadian name or whatever party. Failing to include this or misrepresenting the source is an offense. Section 482B, this is an offense to induce a person to vote or refrain from voting for a particular candidate through intimidation or fraudulent means, which could encompass false representations designed to manipulate voter behavior. Penalties include up to $2,000 in fines, or 1 year in prison on summary conviction, or up to $5,000 and 5 years on indictment. So that's the whole button thing. Now we're just going to kind of move on. Western Standard did a great thing as well here on this. And again, Western Standard, another great outlet they started a few years ago. Really good. These guys are really good. They dig. They're diggers. They put the truth out there, and they're not afraid to they're not afraid to put truth to power. They say the truth. And there needs to be more of us out there. And in order for this to happen, we need you to like, share, and subscribe and get the word out, and to help us, to help fund us. So, former Elections Canada worker cuffed for vandalizing campaign signs. Now, I'm going to show you who this guy is right away. Now, this whole thing just goes on to describe a lot of what's going on about the sign destruction, a lot of the insider stuff. I'm going to post this, like I said, but this all goes down to like Barbara Ball as well. What happened with her signs? Hundreds of signs being gone. She's the one who's running against Carney in the Nepean riding, the one that they stole from Chandra Arya. It's a great article. Again, I'll post it in the links. Read it over. Great. Western Standard, another. Like, absolutely great. So I love this. Ruby Dalla put this out there as well because liberal leader Mark Carney apologizes for campaign staff distributing fake buttons featuring Trump-style language at Ottawa Conservative Conference. I'm going to show you the clip where he actually says it, but Ruby, right on. Thank you, Ruby. How about Mark J. Carney apologizing to Canadians for a rigged Liberal Party leadership race and returning the $350,000 donated by hardworking Canadians? How can taxpayers trust him with their money? On the nose. Thank you, Ruby. Now, this is the CSIS report I was talking about a little bit earlier. It's been redacted. There's been some redactions. This is, again, Sam Cooper, the man, the legend, the best journalist in Canada right now. This is the actual CSIS report. Now, they warned that they were going to try and use links to Trump against the Conservative Party. Just like they do with Marxists and other leftist books, instead of using them as a learning tool of what not to do, they are actually using them as a guideline on what to do in order to brainwash people and take power. This is scary times, people. Now, the Bureau's analysts suggest that if Chinese state-linked actors intended to repeat this narrative in 2025 federal campaign, that they would find their narrative echoed by the Liberal Party's own war room tactics. Scary. This is just scary. Prime Minister Mark Carney this morning acknowledged wrongdoing inside his campaign following revelations that the Liberal operatives had planted fake political buttons at a major Conservative conference in an effort to smear Pierre Poilievre's campaign as a Trump-style threat to Canada. The Liberal Party has attempted to downplay the scandal, calling it an instance of overzealous political operatives getting carried away. But the parallels to Beijing's 2021 disinformation strategy, as outlined in the CSIS bulletin, raise broader concerns over domestic political campaigns echoing or amplifying hostile state narratives. The disinformation scandal was first exposed by CBC on Sunday. Have you seen it? Have you? I showed you. I only saw one clip. And that they haven't said nothing else about it. Zip. Nothing. They don't want Canada knowing the Liberal Party is the China communist propaganda and arm of that communist regime. This is as obvious as it is. The more I report on it, it's undeniable. Undeniable. And I'm going to show you a little bit later in the episode just how obvious this really is. This is just horrible stuff. Observers have noted ticket prices for the event cost hundreds of dollars, suggesting the Liberal infiltration was well planned and resourced. They scattered buttons reading "Stop the Steal," along with buttons favoring Alberta succession movements and other political messages that would suggest Pierre Poilievre's campaign is attracting MAGA-like extremists in Canada that may be open to Trump's earlier jibes of turning Canada into the 51st state. The aim was to create the appearance of Trumpian division and election denialism within Poilievre's campaign. Asked about the scandal at a press conference today, Prime Minister Carney said that irresponsible people have been reassigned within the campaign. But the half apology has failed to quell public concern. The concerns extended well beyond party politics. The Bureau's analysis 2 weeks ago, Canada's Security and Intelligence Threats and Election Site Task Force identified a sophisticated PRC information campaign targeting Chinese language social media in Canada. On March 10th and March 25th, the WeChat account Yulin Yuman, linked to Chinese Communist Party propaganda efforts, shared widely amplified posts portraying Mark Carney in highly favorable light. It goes on and on and on. There's a lot about the information that was put out, the reporter said, but there was also a fair amount of interpretation by many online that viewed the posts in question on WeChat as China endorsing Mark Carney or promoting the Liberals, trying to rig the election, or at the very least, push Chinese Canadians to vote for Mark Carney. Site responded by emphasizing its broader framing. In our briefings, as you know, we cited both positive and negative posts, which I still haven't seen any. Everybody who's involved, and I showed you on previous episodes, even people who speak Cantonese and Mandarin, they can't, there is no negative. It's all positive. This entire site is like a load of crap, people. It's again, the propaganda arm of the government. This is craziness. What was and remains important for us to do is that the Yulan Umain account is linked to foreign state, and the information it shared may be used to manipulate. That was what we felt was important to get across. In other words, propaganda. Propaganda, people. Here is right from Carney's lips himself.
Maybe should have been my first one. When you go into a negotiation, you have to know where you stand. You have to know what you...
Good morning. Kate McKenna from the CBC.
Hi.
Members of the Liberal War Room, so the Central Campaign, distributed Stop the Steal buttons at a Conservative event. Given the anti-democratic implications of this phrase, how much does this event undermine the trust in the way that the Liberals operate, and what have you done in response to these revelations?
Thanks for the question. Look, this is totally unacceptable, to be absolutely clear. And on behalf of my campaign, I was unaware of this behavior, but on behalf of my campaign, I apologize for it unreservedly. Okay. I've made it absolutely clear to my campaign that this behavior or anything approximating it or in that spirit is unacceptable, cannot happen again. En français, c'est...
Yeah, a load of crap. And then a little wee bit further, he was pressed on it a little bit more. This time in French, but he ended up quoting in English. Listen carefully.
Oui, bonjour, M. Carney.
Bonjour,
Guy Saint-André de TVA. Je veux juste revenir à l'histoire des macarons de tantôt. Vous avez dit que c'est inacceptable. Bon, vous avez offert vos excuses au Parti conservateur. Est-ce que vous allez renvoyer les membres du personnel de votre parti qui ont distribué ces macarons-là lors de cette conférence?
En effet, les gens responsables sont déjà préaffectés dans la campagne. The responsible people for this issue have been reassigned within the campaign. That's it.
Question. Next question.
And I guess that's it. Another teachable moment. And do you think Election Canada is actually going to look into this? Do you think that they're going to call the police on this? I'll show you a little bit further in this episode on why I don't think anything will be done. Now, this happened, and this is absolutely fabulous. Again, thank you, Andy Lee and Canada Proud, for posting this. Watch carefully.
How's it going, Mark from Thornhill? This is Lionel Logan, your common sense conservative candidate. And I'm at the intersection of Midland and Steeles. I just put in a couple of big signs. I found a guy that's out here smashing all my signs. 20 signs this guy smashed. And we got a couple of anonymous tips. We figured out who he is. So we just put up a couple of signs here. We're going to see if he's going to come out and smash them. We're not very happy about this. And not only that, we found out that this guy is a deputy returning officer, former deputy returning officer for Elections Canada. And that's completely unacceptable. The fact that somebody who is capable of doing something like that is out here running our polls, it's unbelievable. Anyway, we're going to wait and see, and we'll provide an update shortly.
Works for Elections Canada. Works for Elections Canada. Do you think Election Canada is going to do anything? Now it's looking like Elections Canada has been infiltrated. Make sure, if you are a Conservative or any other party, that you get in and try to be around when all of this counting during this election is being done. I'm telling you, we're gonna see some absolutely insane cheating coming up. It needs to be exposed. be part of it. If you want to fix Canada, you got to be part of it. This is not a spectator sport.
Nice to see you, Alex. Is there any reason why you're smashing all my signs along Steeles?
Yeah, because your fucking party is evil.
Okay, so that doesn't give you the right to smash all my signs.
This is public property. You're polluting.
It's not. I'm not polluting. It's not.
Yeah, you are.
No, it's not. Listen, it's not private property. It's public property. You've been smashing all my signs along Steeles. Okay, I've got multiple pictures and videos of you doing it. So, if you disagree with something that we're doing, or if you disagree with something that you don't like in our platform, you're more than welcome to come to the office. You're more than welcome to talk to me about it. Have a civil conversation. But smashing my signs is completely unacceptable. I think you know that. So it's really unfortunate that you've chosen to do that. Do you have anything to say for yourself or for the sign?
Do you see what he's doing? This is what they do. And then they'll clip it, which I don't do. Real journalists don't clip and edit footage. This is what the left does, and then they send it out to all of their liberal minions. These people suffer serious. I'm telling you, mental health is a serious problem in Canada. We've got to deal with it. This is mental health problems. And for some reason, it seems like it's embedded itself in the Liberal Party. Sad to say, but sorry, just the truth.
That you just literally grabbed out of the ground. You've smashed all of them. Look, you tossed them back here. You seem to like smashing conservative signs. You claim it's on private property. It's not. So is there any reason?
No, it's public property.
It's public property, yeah. And it doesn't give you the right to smash them.
It doesn't give you the right to put your sign on public property.
Yes, you're allowed to do that. We're in the middle of an election, sir. So you can absolutely do that. What do you have to say for yourself, Alex?
Your party is evil. Full stop.
So because you think my party is evil, you like to smash my signs?
No, I know your party is evil.
Okay, so why are you smashing my signs? What does that have to do? Your belief, what does that?
A lot of what these people believe is because of the hate that the mainstream media allows to go. Instead of correcting liberals and NDP, because back then they were doing it too, they would incite hate. They would blatantly lie, and the people, and this goes for Vashi and all the rest of them, they wouldn't correct them. They wouldn't be like, wait a minute, they never said that. Wait, you can't say that. Come on, they wouldn't. They allow themselves to be an echo chamber for this type of lies. Remember? Fear, hate, and division.
What does that have to do with you smashing my signs?
It's not a belief, it's a fact. Your party is evil.
The thing is, if by your logic, why didn't you break the other signs?
I have been tearing down every single.
Well, how come the liberal signs don't keep going down?
Pattern is only conservative.
Because your party is the problem.
Look, I'm the local candidate. You're more than welcome to come talk to me about the issues. Well, I don't think you want to talk. You'd rather
talk to lobbyists.
Okay.
See what I mean?
Because your party works for money.
Now, who spreads all that? Who spreads all that? There's more lobbyists in the pocket of the Liberal Party than the Conservatives ever had. In the first year, the turd himself, Trudeau, had met with over 400 times pharmaceutical companies behind closed door meetings with lobbyists. Just the facts. Just the facts. Nothing on mainstream. Instead, they allow, he's going to be gone, Jagmeet Sellout Singh, and Trudeau and all of these other pundits that get on there to pass these lies. And you get people who've got serious mental issues. This guy's got mental issues. And this is what they start to believe. You repeat the same thing over and over and over again, and people start to believe it. This is what the media has done for 10 years. Favoring the Liberals and the NDP, but they couldn't hide how idiotic Jagmeet was.
Rich, not the people.
And they're fast forwarding it.
How are you guys?
Hey, how are you?
Good.
How you doing, officer?
Who called?
Hello. We're the ones who called it.
Okay.
So,
What's happening?
Literally next to my apartment.
And thank God he was arrested. Now, what's going to become of this? Good question. Probably not much. This guy works for Elections Canada. This is some of the footage of this deranged person. Watch carefully. You can't make this stuff up. Thank you, Karima Rules. She's awesome. Another one to like and support.
Oh, wait, here. Do you need a blowjob? I'll give you a blowjob, buddy. Here, I'll suck your dick. Whip it out.
excuse me.
Oh, your eyes are beautiful. I bet you're a grower. Normally this is 200.
And yes, he's got the nickname BJ Chris or whatever his real name is. I really don't care. Here's some more of him harassing.
Hi. I don't think we've ever had the pleasure of having a bunch of videos, propositional video.
I said no.
And typical liberals, they won't, there's no debate, there's no discussion. They just carry on with their lies. La, 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 la. They don't care. Brainwashed. This is what you saw in Germany in the early years. This is what happened. This is what we went and fought against. And it's live in the streets. This is it. Welcome to Canada. Post-national state. I'm going to speed ahead a little wee bit.
You have no issues with this gentleman, right?
No, I think this is our first time we've interacted directly. You've mostly had the pleasure up to this point.
Well, I did not have the pleasure. Let's just make things clear. There was no pleasure involved. He wanted to pleasure me, or they wanted to pleasure me, and I said no.
And here comes his backup.
I did.
Which is good practice.
I will always say no to...
On the street, you know.
Right.
Craziness. This is great. Post-national state, man. This is what the liberals want. Now we're gonna move on a little wee bit. NVIDIA. They're moving main operations down to the States. They're gonna do some major building down there. Why? Because the government isn't subsidizing them. The government is going to give them incentives needed, and definitely the tariffs played a large role in this. But again, lower taxes, higher profit margin. You'd be crazy not to go.
Let us kick off this big hour with one of the world's biggest companies making a big-time commitment, and that is NVIDIA. NVIDIA finally unveiling exactly where and when it's going to be investing hundreds of millions of dollars in American manufacturing. Dare we say, it's a feel-good story. But it's also an important one for maybe the most important stock in the world. Let's talk about it, the kickoff power lunch with Christina Partsinevelos joining us from the NASDAQ. And yes, this does appear, Christina, to be not only big news, but a little bit of good news.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt. And the president is celebrating that. But as the White House's semiconductor tariff investigation gets underway and they determine what they're going to charge chip companies, NVIDIA announced plans today to establish over 1 million square feet of manufacturing space in the United States. There's that feel-good story. The tech giant is going to produce Blackwell chips in Arizona and build AI supercomputers in Texas through partnerships with Foxconn and Wistron. With these facilities, it's expected to be operational within about 12 to 15 months. months. And this move is really part of NVIDIA's previously announced $500 billion AI infrastructure investment over 4 years. Though when first revealed, it was last month, if I recall, the details were limited. It's still not entirely clear, Brian, how much AI manufacturing will actually relocate to American soil, given that the semiconductor supply chain remains predominantly centered in Asia and is incredibly complex, which was in that NVIDIA blog post today. The Trump administration, though, views this development as validation of its tariff strategy. President Trump shared the news on Truth Social. And
let's move ahead a little wee bit. This ties into what went on with Ingersoll and the Canby. They were losing money off the hop. The cost of them doing production was increasing, so they had no baseline. They had to pay their employees more, obviously, because the employees now can't afford to live in Canada because inflation had taken over by the just enormous spending of the Trudeau Liberal Party. The Liberal Party spent more money in their tenure than all previous prime ministers combined. Poilievre has been warning about this since day one. Harper, even during the last election where the Liberals got voted in, warned Canada. The guy, call him a prophet. He warned. He saw and knew what was going to happen. And other Liberals who were leaving the party knew what was going to happen. The business was going out. They have fields of these, I like to call them solar power flashlights. Electric delivery vans. When loaded, they only go like 140K. That's it, for the batteries are dead when they're fully loaded. What good is that? If the whole purpose of them does the end don't meet the means. It was a dying business. The entire EV market had no backbone, had no true projected profit unless they can pass the 2035 removal of combustion vehicles. There shall be no more gas or diesel powered cars sold after 2035. Carney is going to put this in. Listen, auto sector, you vote Liberal, you are voting yourselves out of work. I guarantee it, because these new factories aren't going to hire a lot of people. They're going to be mostly robotic. Now, listen to this putz.
Because, you know, I get to travel around the world and pitch to a whole bunch of different companies. Last time I was standing with Premier Ford, an announcement like this. It was an announcement at Nokia that featured a real strong emphasis on research and development here in Canada for the Finnish telecommunications giant. We pointed out there was, you know, millions of dollars invested by governments to draw them in. But every government...
You heard it right from the horse's mouth. How much money, how much tax dollars were spent? Billions. We're well over $49 billion on these EV plants that have one by one shut down long before Trump even came along. There's no profitability in it. And the vehicles, they cannot suit a North American climate, at least a Canadian climate. Garbage. These things are garbage. They're doing it because Brookfield and other corporations are heavily invested in this. This was done at your expense. Your expense. Moving on, keeping with the same, listen carefully to what Carney has to say. This is at that French interview that he had did.
Il faut choisir quelques projets.
We have to choose a few projects, a few big projects, not necessarily pipelines, but maybe pipelines. We'll see. Yes. He doesn't want pipelines in Canada because his pipelines around the world, especially in third world countries, won't make money if we become the superpower we were meant to be. This was a great post. Thank you very much to David Jacobs. From 2021 until now, Mark Carney has posted 56 times about his support for net zero. Net zero is his economic plan to bring carbon emissions down to zero through offsets. It has been abandoned by the world's largest economies, but you can be sure it will be imposed in Canada. Look at all of these.
Our ultimate objectives, which is to get to net zero
such as moving towards a net zero economy, being part of this journey towards net zero. They're relentlessly, ruthlessly, absolutely focused on that transition to net zero. Our ultimate objectives, which is to get to net zero, such as moving towards a net zero economy, being part of this journey towards net zero. They're relentlessly, ruthlessly, absolutely focused on that transition to net zero. Our ultimate objectives, which is to get to net zero, such as moving towards a net zero economy, being part of this journey towards net zero. They're relentlessly, ruthlessly, absolutely focused
going and going and going and going. Elect Carney. Goodbye, auto industry. Goodbye, oil and gas industry. Welcome high prices. Welcome inflation. Welcome Hamas. Western Standard, another great article. This is on how the Liberals bought and paid for Calgary's electorate. And with their whole, we're going to give you billions of dollars and we're going to set up houses with their housing accelerator fund. But there were fine lines. There's the little print. So their goal is multi-family units. These are those modular quick build CCAN communist style housing with maybe a little bit of astroturf on a small deck. Cram as many people as you can into a small space to solve a housing problem that was created by Carney. Right in it, I'm going to scroll down here and find it, the fine print. Why so many multifamily homes? The HAF agreement pays the city a bonus bribe. It calls it top-up funding for approving increasingly rising levels of new multifamily home permits only. Top-up funding is designed to incent certain types of housing supply. Top-up funding will depend on the type of housing and the associated projected increase in the number of permitted units. There is no top-up funding available for single detached homes, it reads in the agreement. The value ascribed to each category will be multiplied by the associated projected increase in the number of permitted uses. Yes, this is their goal. Communist-style housing. You will own nothing and you will be happy. Now, just as a reminder, this is Canada's debt clock. Each citizen in Canada, your share now is $29,993. Look at this clock carefully. That is trillion, people. Welcome to inflation. Welcome to Mark Carney's dream of what Canada should become. Growth per day, $109 million. Almost 110. Per day. Per hour, $4,577,000. This is what Carney wants. They make money off of inflation. They don't care about you. These people they're globalists. You want to put a banker in? Bankers make money off of interest. He's a banker. He's not in it for you. He's been guiding this government since the beginning, and it's been documented that for the last 5 years, he's been the puppet master. This is what's going to happen to Canada. This is just going to get worse and worse. You vote these people in. The end is nigh. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Like I said, I will keep you up to date the second I find out more on Natasha Montreal. I'm She's been in my mind ever since all this went down. Let's just hope that her injuries aren't really bad, and let's hope that the courts step in, especially on this Buttongate. This is illegal. I want charges. I want charges. I want to see charges. I want to see charges on that cop that also assaulted an independent journalist. We need to see proper justice in our country. The only way to do it is to decimate this Liberal Party. They're the same party. Lipstick on a pig, people. Until next time, you've been watching the Canadian Citizen Journal. I'm your host, Alias Tagay. Stay informed.